can put optical telescopes on a mountain and going through there.
For introducing me, and the honor is, it's really a fantastic honor to be here to share a really unique type of accomplishment that we have. That's this young facility here at the Lanier Coherent Light Sources just over the hill. We've only been operating since 2009, and this has been a long talk and about to produce a molecular movie of having the smallest actors be filmed, and we finally caught that. And so what we see here is kind of what we're going to be talking about, watching this molecule break apart before our eyes. But a little about me first, over to fill into what Michael was talking about before. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. Went to high school, college out in Arizona. I was always, as my mom would attest to, I got into everything. I was kind of a tricky little kid to wrangle up, and I'm feeling that pain now because of my two boys, a 10-month-old and a 4.5-year-old, take after me, and believe me, it comes in spades. And to tell you a story, back when I was quite young, my family owned a restaurant, and back in the day, I got a salt shaker and some ice. And I found out I put some salt on this ice that really cool things happened. It got really rock hard, it got really cold. And as a kid, I wanted to, be a good chemist and scale up. So I put a lot of salt in the ice maker of our restaurant. It did not go over well. But first, it was a little tricky. I got out of it. But even then, even before I really even knew it, I got a little spark I liked chemistry. I figured it out. Then I made my way to high school. Okay, aged a little bit, got a little bit older, somewhat wiser, and I made my way to McClintock High School in Tempe, and I met this man. This man, Doc Zinke. This is the guy who got me into chemistry, why I'm into chemist today. He was a grizzled Western Pennsylvania man. He was a basketball coach. I did not play basketball, I played baseball. But 4 years earlier than that, my sister walked into his classroom, into his general science, physics, chemistry, and so he knew of what Minettis were coming down the line. And so my mom, being a really good baker, does anyone know what that is? Pizzelle, that's right. So yeah, being Italian in heritage, Doc Zinke, growing up in was able to create the world's brightest X-ray source. Never seen before, 1 billion times to 10 billion times brighter than any X-ray source known to man. We did it here using this linear accelerator, creating electrons and creating X-rays that you can see here. And I said capabilities that have never seen before. It's opening up all new types of chemistry, physics, material science, biological studies, crystallographic studies. You name it, this source can do it. And how do we do it? We have again an ultraviolet laser pulse, similar to the ones that we utilize in our study. Train itself sitting in this little building here at the tip of the sword, if you would, shooting an ultraviolet laser pulse onto a piece of copper cathode. When the ultraviolet light strikes that copper cathode emits a pocket of electrons. We gather those electrons, and then once we gather those electrons, we shuttle them down this linear accelerator to about right here. And now you're looking down the barrel of a free electron laser. As we're right about here in this acceleration phase, where we just created the electrons, now we need to accelerate those electrons. 99.99.
はい、着きました。これ帰りはどこなんでしょうね。帰りは。帰りの停留所ありました。スキー場前、16時9分、4時9分、神楽三俣スキー場前の帰りは4時9分です。1時間あります。さあ、さすがにもうロープウェイないです。この1時間どうしようという。
So here we actually are looking at a structural change of watching
when
something in your brain is firing and telling something to move, or telling something to like an enzyme firing or synapse across your nerve. You can actually watch this structural change, and it's as you basically feel the synapse are firing your. Pardon me. It's as your nerves fire, synapse watches structural change of how you're actually feeling. Or you can look at live things in situ. You can look at viruses, proteins, peptides, be intersected by this ultraviolet X-ray source, and in the blink of an eye, that X-ray source takes a picture of it before it's completely destroyed, radically goes away. In this case, the last public lecture was actually given by a colleague of mine. He was a postdoc here in the Science Institute by the name of Jerry LaRue, and in this
料金いくらなんですか？料金はいくらなんですか？リフト券ってことですか？ 早く。
1泊200円。
ああ、すいま
But last but not least, what
せん。いい
really
っす。今回はどうもありがとうございました。
last bit of last bit of line was on the steady molecular motion response light, other chemical triggers compile a movie of these changes. So I'm glad to say that we actually
いいときやん。
we were watching this sort of paper that
1100円なかったですね、今日は。残念ながら。
first. As Michael said, there was a very large height when this facility was
残念ながら今日は1000円ギリギリでした。
we wanted to use this ultra-bright X-ray source to take snapshots and photographs of molecules in action, chemical reactions as they occur. All the way, so now we find ourselves in 2015. Over 10 years ago was the first mention of molecular movies. We wanted to talk about a really good talk by Phil Buxbaum, professor here at Stanford Flash, and we talked about how molecular movies. So you can kind of see, even 10 years ago, it's the hype. Hell, there was a molecular movie public lecture that was saying this is making a molecular movie. It was a great talk by Kelly Gaffney, another professor here, showing the nice. A lot of friends and colleagues and gave these talks. And to remember, we only turned on delivered at
今日は残念でした。
So even long before that first delivery of these ultra-bright X-rays, were there mention of when it's just got off the ground, where the hooves kind of splayed outside, not underneath the horse, or the horse's hoofs underneath the horse. This is a long-standing question. So to devise this type of film, they had devised a series of tripwires that this horse ran across. Basically, at the end of this tripwire was a camera, and as the horse ran across. See a horse running. But we all see the horse's hooves are underneath it as it's galloping when it's off the ground. Otherwise, it's running and sprinting. But to take a camera, if there's any avid photographers here, you have to have shutter speed for your camera. In order to catch something moving, you need something that's faster or equally fast to catch it, to make it nice and clear in view, just like they did with this horse. So if it's 1,000th of a second or a millisecond was the ability at the time, that was the technology, to capture, open and close, and let this picture gather onto this film. So the shutter speed in this instance was just a millisecond. Very impressive for 1878 or something like that. You know, if we want to take pictures of atoms and molecules, milliseconds ain't going to work. Well, in the advent, cameras got better, tech got better. But we now need to, if you picture this, if anyone's seen this on TV, of how these, how they do it. Did someone assassinate Kennedy with one magic bullet? They shoot these guns and these bullets are zooming through the air. You can see the bullets move on screen. So in order to do that, a horse shrunken down to the size of a bullet is much faster. You shoot a bullet, and it will beat the horse every time, right? It's gonna go move a lot faster. And so in order to capture this miraculous little film of this bullet ripping through an apple or a bullet ripping through a bottle of water, to see it clearly as it's going through everything, you need a millionth of a second shutter time. And that's 3 orders of magnitude difference, so it's thousandth of a thousandth. So that's really fast. A millionth of a second. But atoms and molecules move a lot faster than that. So we need a shutter speed to catch a molecular movie on this. This is called a femtosecond. This is exactly what the Linac coherent light source can produce. We can produce X-ray pulses like camera shutters, like shutter speeds on your camera, but in the X-ray shape. You're taking it kind of like a big X-ray camera. And this is a millionth of a billionth of a second. 15 orders of magnitude smaller. This is 15 zeros in front of this one. Extremely small sliver of time. And but thankfully we have the tech. Like I said, tech better. And his tech's going to get better here soon. On our last slide, we'll talk about it in a little bit. But to put this in perspective, if 1 femtosecond were 1 minute, that is to say that 1 minute is the eighth of a year. It's a pretty small sliver of time. It's fantastically small. Only 1 minute is 1 femtosecond, and 1 minute is the eighth of the universe. But not only are molecules move really fast and they zoom all over the place, they also are extremely small. And so X-rays are on the wavelength. Their oscillation or their period or their frequency is in again X-rays. We call it X-ray, but their wavelength is about an angstrom or so. And this angstrom in length scale is 10 billionths of a meter. 10 billionths of a meter. I mean, do we even know? Like, do we put a scale to that? But so an angstrom, like I said, X-rays are unique probes of molecular structures, and the molecular structure would like something of a similar size to interrogate it, if not smaller. So in this case, this is the molecule that we looked at, our cyclohexadiene molecule, and from basically bond to bond, 3 angstroms, 3 10 billionths of a meter. Well, that's tiny. How tiny? If you were to make that larger by 1 million times, it would only be the size of the width of your hair. Your hair is about 100 microns in diameter. You go 1 million times greater, that hair, so now you have one molecule is the width of your hair. That still doesn't really put it in perspective. So, because it's not such a macroscopic thing. You know, like me, I don't have any hair. Consider your guys lucky. And so I can't do this experiment. So I had to sit there and think of what's the next best thing. So if we put some scale to it, this little match. Alright, so this little match is about almost 2 inches long, 5.2 centimeters. And so if we were to make this 1 million times bigger, what would it be? Anyone? Huge. Huge is good. Huge is good. That's Mount Everest. Pretty big, right? It's actually 6 times Mount Everest. We have orders of magnitude. We have 6 orders of magnitude difference in height. So 1 million of these stacked on top of one another. That's how small molecules are. And so, again, it just blows my mind of how small this thing is. Small and fast, doesn't cut it. These are ultra small and ultra fast. So it's mind blown. Like any good scientist, he has I'm not wearing my turtleneck, but he's a good scientist. He's got his turtleneck. His mind is blown. So we now know what the hardware is. We know what the chemistry is, what we want to look at. We want to look at light-driven chemistry. Now we know how to do it. We have the tools. We have this big, beautiful... Well, now we got to employ some Hollywood tricks. Kind of slick. And like any good movie nowadays, you got to have some good CG. We have that. And so what do we look at? We know what that molecule is, that cyclohexadiene. So this is cyclohexadiene, 6-membered ring. And it was well known that when you shine light upon it, I said this earlier, when you shine light upon it, it opens up. But what wasn't known is how fast it opened up and how it opened up, and actually kind of what happened within these two question marks. Now that we all know what a femtosecond is, to go from a closed ring molecule to something that's played out open was only 80 femtoseconds. Pretty fast. Yeah, pretty small. So to use X-ray, there's multiple techniques that one can use to look at this: X-ray spectroscopy, X-ray absorption, but we use X-ray scattering or diffraction, like you might have heard of by a different name. We call it scattering because what we are looking at is a molecule here, breathing gas. Diffraction tends to be more of like a very ordered structure, a piece of metal, right? A crystal. But in this case, I like to call X-ray scattering gas, plain molecular physics. So we have an X-ray detector that acts as a catcher, or the pocket that the ball's going to go into. Our little cyclohexadiene molecule populates the X-ray is in that big white pulse.
あの辺下山じゃないの？
slick CG to figure out. But what we have showed there, we just showed the molecule standing on its own, the cyclohexadienol. Well, if you remember this, a few slides prior, the cyclohexadiene molecule is just kind of sitting there and it's flat. Well, we know that the molecule, we know what the structure looks like. We know it's not opening, we know it's not doing anything. We didn't put some motion to the molecule, we didn't kind of kick it.
ここ人間好き
So
で
there's a technique, a very sciencey technique called optical, or the UV laser light pump, optical or X-ray probe. You can use different types of lasers for the type of molecule that you want to interrogate, but there's always an optical laser or UV laser exciting the molecule, making it do something, and then we take some X-rays, photograph them. So think of a pump as an excitation, and the X-ray in this case is a photograph. So remember, we're going to scatter off this molecule and take a picture. So when the excitation, if you guys have kids, if you give your child some sugar, you excite them, but they don't really act right after you feed them sugar, right? They're in a steady state. Get some time across, so when the excitation, and then you want to take a picture of them in excited state, well, the molecule's not really doing anything. So it kind of looks like it was in itself, by its ground state. The molecule. It's interesting, but it's a static structure. Let that sugar set in, we come in with a UV pulse. In this case, we're not going to shine UV light on our children, that would be bad. But when we come in at some time earlier, the UV pulse excites the molecule. The molecule starts to wiggle and wrangle and all this other good stuff. And then some time delay later, we take a photograph of the molecule in action with the X-ray. And our molecule looks a little something different because it got excited. And the excitation was able to propagate through. Well, if we do this again, just like the horse running through tripwires, if you lengthen the distance of the tripwires, you're going to get a different gait of the horse. In this case, now the UV light comes much before the X-ray pulse. The molecule changes its shape again. We come and take a picture of it. And so this is kind of how you sew this story together. You do this multiple times for multiple events.
こっちが下山ルートだかららしいですね。
So this is how we did it. There's our detector again. This time we have a vessel with our cyclohexadiene molecule.
雪が積もるんですか。
It populates, the molecule sits there and populates the vessel. Optical laser pulse comes in, excites the molecule, breaks it. The red X-ray pulse comes in and just takes a picture. So now if we just like taking a picture of a horse, the optical laser excites, the X-ray probe takes a picture. We do this over and over and over again for many, many tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of shots. Again, knowing that what is caught and captured on that big detector is very meaningful. So that you sew these things together, the molecule begins to move.